Today's episode of Kwesi Speaks is being sponsored by Built Beauty. For all nail, lashes, and overall wellness, contact Alicia Ewing at 256-520-9006. You can also follow her on Instagram at Built Beauty Brand, where she's building beauty one set at a time. Be sure to tell her Kwesi sent you. Hello, everybody. This is Kwesi Jackson. Kwesi Speaks. Here's my heart, so hear my heart. Not exactly sure what you're doing today, but I'm alive, I'm awake, and I feel great. Here in the U.S. of A., for the last few days, man, it has been absolute pandemonium. Seen a lot of things, heard a lot of things, and I'm trying to tell you it's not even over. It's not over. But I can say this, that for some people, for the next few days, they are probably going to have or experience more peace than they ever have because they have given it all away to politics, to the political system. It's absolutely amazing how ages ago, for those of you that believe, and I understand there are some that don't believe in this whole conversation, you'll probably fast forward to until you get to a part that you can agree with. But ages ago, there is a story about how the people had decided that they were going to build a tower to heaven. They were going to build a tower to get to God. And they worked together to get there. Or they worked together to begin building this Tower of Babel. And when God looked at it, he said, these people are working together. And they put their minds together to do this thing. And they will accomplish it if they work together. And then somewhere along the way, because he confounded their speech, disrupted their language, the unity that they had, even though that unity was toward what was wrong, was disrupted so much so that tower never happened. And that is the Tower of Babel. Now, if I've got that story off, it's okay. You just think of it like you used to listen to Madea tell and jack those stories up. Just give me that kind of credit. But the story went something like that. And with that being said, the people are at that point turn their attention towards other things. It's always seemed to be people can come together when they need to for a specific thing, and then on the things that are the most important, we find such a hard time coming together. It's amazing that in 2020, we're still seeing a lot of it, to the point where people have placed complete dependence on social institutions to deliver them and their families to a quote unquote promised land. And if my words are they seem strange to you, it's because sometimes I try to avoid using labels in my presentations because I don't want people to take it for me being or coming off as negative, because I can promise you I'm definitely in that space. Excuse me. If you get a chance, go check out the Gayle King's interview with Robert Kelly, with R. Kelly. And when Kelly starts to scream and rant, Gayle doesn't move a finger. She sits still and just starts to call his name Robert, because she asked him some tough questions. And he went on the defense. And on the defense, he's panicking. He's flipping out. And she unbothered. I love Gayle's unbotheredness, if that is a such thing, because I have made up in my mind that I am unbothered. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I've got people tagging me in posts and asking me, am I praying? The election didn't cause me to pray more. Life caused me to pray more. I looked at from a mentor standpoint, the amount of kids that I have lost as a mentor, I don't have time to be caught up in no doggone election, people. You understand what I'm saying? Like I prayed that the will of God be done. I prayed that if there's any error, if there's any crooked, that it be made straight. But my friends, when you involve yourself in the lives of children that are going down the pathway that is going to lead them to death and destruction, there is little to no time for you to get yourself caught up in all this stuff. That's why I know the world needs mentors. Taking my time today to plug mentors. Good friend of mine who I've connected with some time ago. Man, let me tell you something, man. When God connects you with people who are legit and about his business, you will see him unfold and unravel things before your eyes that you never could have imagined. Your influence, he will enlarge your territory. I love that song. Donald Lawrence sang it. But the prayer of Jabez, if I'm saying it wrong, you scholars, please just count it, charge it to my head. But he says, enlarge my territory. He says, bless me indeed. Enlarge my territory. And I want my territory, my influence to be enlarged so much so that I can invoke change in the lives of a child, and not that once you unravel and unwrap my political ideology to find that my helping someone was influenced by anything but God. I want to do his will. I want my family to be happy. I want my kids to know that they have lived or that they're living a good life because their father sacrificed his own feelings to serve them. But I did want to talk today about mentoring, the power of mentoring. Like I said, a good friend of mine, I connected with Bryant Smith, and I won't give his resume. I know he was a standout basketball player in high school, went on to play at Auburn University. That year, they won an SEC championship. He's played in the NBA, went overseas and played in Europe. And when I had a chance to meet him, I was taking my talent, like the kids say, the 3, 4, 5-star athletes they sit and have these signing day, and they'll say, I'm going to take my talent to, and then they'll tell you the school. Well, I was leaving a middle school that I had worked at for 3 years, very grateful for the opportunity there, but saw the need and felt the call to push that, to another level and start to actually mentor kids. I wanted to do it full time. So I went to a superintendent at the time that a lot of people had grown frightened of because of his military background, no nonsense kind of a guy, straight shooter. And people warned me. They said, don't go to him and tell him you want to do that because he's going to think you're not grateful for your teaching job and blah, blah, and all this other stuff they said. And I just couldn't, because at that time I felt a push for what I was doing. And so when we hooked up, he listened to my spiel and was like, I love it. And he put me in as a full-time mentor. First time, to my knowledge, that was ever being done, being paid like a teacher to mentor kids. That was my job. And so he brought me to the table. At that table, I met Bryant. He was just coming, hadn't been back from Europe, I don't think that long at that point, and decided he had to come back to his city and do for the young people in the city. He himself was a product of a lot of the things that they had experienced, yet he had a talent that God gave him that he used to not only bring himself out, but his family out. And it's just a wonderful story. It's a typical story. It makes you know that for people who try to go into court after having committed crime after crime, to come in with a big white Bible under your arm and plead with the judge, I didn't know better. My dad wasn't there. All that stuff is trash in a world where there are people who have survived. So, my man, we come to the table, and out of all the people or individuals that I met, and I know, some other programs that are going that are legit programs as well. Out of all the programs, he and I connected on a level that was like, you knew it was a godly level. And from then we've gone on and pushed forward, and I'm watching that foundation take legs, because his idea was, I just want to do God's work. It's not driven by political ideas. It's not driven by a desire to be on top of things. He's constantly trying to push his board members out front. And we're constantly saying, Bryant, no, you're the face of this thing, man. This is God. God gave you this vision, man. It's yours. Like, you don't have to keep saying to people that I'm not in it for this. It's okay. We know people are going to know your heart. But amazing program, mentoring kids. In that year, as I went through certain struggles, because people won't always understand the role of a mentor, but he and I knew, and we locked in on it. And from there, many of the same kids that we tried mentoring, we've seen, I know at least two of them that I know of from that program were murdered before they even hit 20, like 18 to 19 years old, shot and killed. One was facing capital murder charges. Another one that I taught is currently on trial for capital murder. Another one was shot and killed who wasn't even a part of that program. Let's say from this point where I'm making this recording a couple of months ago. Another one that I mentored at the current school that I am, shot and killed. We're seeing murder. We're seeing bodies drop around us. And at the same time that bodies are dropping, people are taking breaks to engage themselves in political processes that are never going to fix these spiritual matters. And so today I am shedding light on the power of the mentor, the power of people who are willing to disrupt their own lifestyles in order to reach out and grab a big handful of kids that are going astray and bring them into their world and try to guide them through this world. That's where we are, man. That's where the Bryant Smiths, the Willie Diggs, that's where people like that fit into this world. We disrupt our own lifestyles. We disrupt them, like in the sense of we take calls in the middle of the night where somebody says, can you come get me? We take calls from schools where they're saying, I need your help. I cannot control him. We've got text messages and message from parents. I myself got message from parents where their kid had got caught with drugs at school trying to find out, what can I do? I didn't know what to do, so I reached out to you. Huh? It's the life of a mentor. This is God's business. It's God's business. I can't risk a scandal. You see what I'm saying? I have to love my wife and my kids beyond the fact that it's what God called. I'm in a covenant relationship with my wife. And so I commit to that. I commit to my kids. I'm their dad. I'm responsible for their well-being. But besides that, just off the strength of there are people watching you that God wants to influence them through you, that you must walk the line. And not only just walk the line, but commit to being a great person, to being loving, and not get yourself caught up in hate-filled conversation, hate-filled posts. All of you grown people that are putting these posts out with hate driving behind it, who lost yourself in this election so much so that you really thought the world would end if your vote didn't go. Hey, let me tell you something, man. You need to get involved in the mentoring. Because once you start to see family members or people you know lose loved ones and to the streets and lose them to drugs, you start to care differently. And you stop looking to a greater organized body of bureaucracy. You stop looking to a bureaucracy to fix a problem, because they are not going to fix the problem. There has to be a change in the community. How do you have a change in community? Somebody has to disrupt their day-to-day to go out and to see about the needs of the people. And so I'm saying to you that I hope that the post today doesn't come off or sounds super negative, but I'm telling you that there are mentors out there that are changing the world. And if you get a chance, look up the Winning Foundation on the internet, find out, ask about Bryant Smith, Bryant Smith. There are things that are going to change in my community because the Bryant Smiths of the communities are coming back from having got up out of situations but they're coming back to give. W.E.B. Du Bois called it the talented tenth. He says that only a tenth of people who actually come up out of their poverty, out of situations, will go back to help. And I read a book that was revisiting the souls of black folks that said that if you look now, there is actually about a tenth that go back to help. And if only a tenth is coming back to help, how can you expect a government with so many other things to deal with? How can you expect that government to go back and do more than a tenth when that tenth grew up in those places and know firsthand the struggles of those communities? I'm saying we got to get busy, y'all. I think God's soon to come back. I don't want to get all religious on y'all, but it's what I feel. I believe God's coming back. Don't be distracted by your distractions, is what my sister-in-law preached. That's my homegirl. She preached, don't be distracted by your distractions. Stay on the wall, my good people. Another Bible reference, Nehemiah. Stay on the wall. Do God's work. If you're not on the wall, get up there and get to work. Get you some more irons in the fire so you can stay out of people's business. Again, this is Kwesi Jackson of Kwesi Speaks. Here's my heart, so hear my heart. Peace.